All right, Kute Blackson, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely excited for this one. And so, just from the top, I want to talk a little bit about your story, right? So, you were born in Ghana, you were raised in London, the son of a revered spiritual leader and healer. From an early age, you were immersed in the world of faith and public speaking, delivering sermons to large crowds from an early age, before the age of 10. Today, you're a transformational teacher that helps thousands listen to their intuition and find their purpose. And I'm curious, at what point along your journey did you know that this was your purpose?
I think I always felt a sense of purpose. I think I always felt a calling to make a difference in people's lives. I think there was a part of me that from a very young age, I remember feeling like my life was, I was born for something bigger than myself. I didn't know what that would look like because as a young boy, my father had 300 churches. And so age 8, I started speaking. Age 14, I was ordained as a minister. And my father announced to the congregation that my son is taking over my ministry. And I was the guy that was supposed to, my life was basically mapped out, and I was the
Right.
guy that was supposed to take over everything. And so I remember the distinct feeling that something didn't feel quite right about that. I felt like this wasn't my path, this wasn't my expression. And so I just didn't have the courage to speak to my father. I didn't have the courage to speak my truth. I think, like many of us, I allowed fear to hijack my voice. My fear was if I dared to follow my path, my truth, my calling, even though I didn't know exactly where that was leading me, but if I dared to be true to myself, that I would be alone, I would be outcast, I would lose my father's love. And so I tried to fit myself for many years into a box of becoming who I thought I needed to be in order to get love and validation and approval from my father, mainly, and the world. But I think the evolution of how did I know that this was what I was supposed to do? I mean, I didn't know I was supposed to be transforming and coaching people in this format. But what started happening as a young boy is around age 8, I would sneak into my father's office. And on his bookshelf were literally thousands of books, books from self help people like Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, to Eastern mystics of Yogananda and Krishnamurti. And so as I began reading these books, I began reading, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen and Jim Rohn. And, I'm 10, 11 years old reading Tony Robbins. And I remember seeing like, wow, that you mean there's a whole different way of impacting people that's not in the format of religion. And that these folks in America are doing these seminars, right? They're seminars in hotel rooms, transforming lives. And they're, writing these books that are inspiring. And so that I remember 12, 13, 14, like something was lit on fire with the possibility of transforming lives and impacting people. And I didn't know, again, what that would look like or what the path would look like. But I had visions of writing books and speaking in front of audiences. So by the time I was 18, 17 actually, I had some decisions to make. Was I going to take the expected path and take over my father's organization and become the guy? But when I felt into that possibility, I just knew in my soul, in my heart, that something was fundamentally off. And I felt like a death inside, that feeling of when you're not following your truth, you're not following your soul's integrity. And simultaneously I felt I felt as though something was calling me to America. And I think when your soul calls you, when your soul guides you, it often doesn't make sense to your mind. It doesn't make sense to your logic. Your soul doesn't care about convenience or care about comfort, but it cares about evolution and cares about growth. And it was very clear: go to the US, go to America. This is your path. And that's, I think, when I knew I wanted to come to Los Angeles specifically because all of the authors I read about when I was a kid, they happened to live in California,
Right, right.
Robbins, Chopra, Marianne Williamson, um, Mark Victor Hansen, Jack Canfield. They all lived in San Diego, LA, and so for me, this was the mecca, and that's what sort of guided me to sort of take the leap. But that's, I would say, when I had a some kind of clarity that I knew this is what I want to do. I want to speak. I want to inspire. I want to teach. I want to train. I want to guide. I mean, coaching wasn't really a thing at the time. But I remember when I was also like 14, 15, actually, I saved up all of my money. Maybe I was turning 16, 15, 16. I saved up all of my money. I convinced my mom and my dad. Actually, my dad was supposed to come with me to a conference in the US where sort of inspirational speakers were going to be speaking, and he got malaria. And so I convinced my parents to let me go by myself and ended up coming to the US at 15, 16 years old for the first time, going to this transformation, sort of like a self help conference. I forget the name.
Sure.
There was Gene Houston was there, Michael Beckwith was there, some amazing folks were there, and that's also when I got my first glimpse at possibilities of like, wow, there's a different way of speaking. There's a different way of, it's not in a church, it's not in religion. It's just open. It's accessible to people. Then I came back another year to the same conference in the summer, and I just knew this is what I wanted to do, and that's when it became clear for me.
I love it. Very cool. And I think it's interesting that you kind of had that path in front of you, right? It could have been, I wouldn't say easy. It wouldn't have been easy in any sense, but
Yeah.
you had a path in front of you where you could have taken over the church and been the top pastor, the top minister for, for a really large organization. And I think most people probably would have just kind of leaned into that opportunity and tried to make the best of that. But there was just something inside of you that didn't feel right. And you wanted to teach in a slightly different capacity, and you felt it. You felt it in your heart. You felt it in your soul. Curious, why do you think so many people struggle these days with finding that same voice within inside of themselves, with finding that voice that directs them towards their highest self, towards their their destiny of fulfillment?
I think we know. I think deep down we all know. Deep down we all sense it. Deep down we all feel it. There's a part of us that already knows. We already know. It's just whether we're willing to be courageous enough to acknowledge it. Whether we're willing to be courageous enough to be still and listen. Whether we're willing to be courageous enough to own what we know. And so what stops us is fear. The fear of the consequence, the fear of what people will think, the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of disappointing other people, right? Uh, my dad, your mother, the world, and constantly comparing yourselves. And so really it's fear that stops us from following our truth. It's fear that stops us from being who we truly, truly, really are. Yeah.
So you think that everyone kind of knows deep down
Deep
inside?
down, we know. Like if you think about if everyone, right, let's do an experiment. Maybe you think about that relationship. Let's take something. Maybe I was going to say humorous. It's not always humorous, depending on the
Not
situation.
always.
If you take an example like a relationship from the past, right? And that person you were madly in love with, they're the one, oh my God, and then you started questioning, should I stay, should I go? Then you speak to your friends, I don't know what to do, and then you broke up with them. And the moment you broke up, you told your friend, I knew that was never going to work. Like, we know. Deep down, we know. The challenge is from the moment we are born, we are programmed and we are conditioned. From the moment we are born, the indoctrination from society starts. The indoctrination, well intended, but the indoctrination from your parents begins, and they're just passing down to you the information based on their level of consciousness and their level of trauma and their parents and the stuff they were taught. So the indoctrination starts from your parents, from religion, from school, from university, from media, from advertisers telling you what to buy and what not to buy, from governments, from politicians, from society, now social media. And there's so many layers of noise out there telling you who you should be and who you shouldn't be and what to believe and what you shouldn't believe. And there is kind of a war for your attention, right? I mean, wow, I switch on the news. Now there's like 70,000 news channels. You switch on a YouTube video. Like one thing says, okay, don't eat meat. Next thing, no, 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 don't eat vegetables. Don't eat vegetables. No, no, no. Don't only eat, eggs. Fucking don't cook your food. Don't eat no cooked food. Eat raw food. Don't eat raw food. Just eat raw liver. It's like, what the hell do I do, man? I don't know what to do. So there's so much information out there, and we're being bombarded with so much just noise. And I think that in our culture, we live in a matrix, right? Where there is an investment in you not knowing who you are. There is an investment in you not knowing who you truly are as a divine being. Because if you don't know who you are, and so here we are bombarded with all this information that just then disconnects you from, like, I don't even know what I feel anymore because there's so much noise that I'm hearing all the noise that what is true and what is not true, what is my intuition, what is my knowing. I can't even hear myself. And so when we disconnect from ourselves, we don't know who we are. And so there's an investment in you not knowing who you truly are and listening to your true knowing and intuition. Because if you're not connected to who you are, if you're not connected to your knowing, you're not connected to your power, then you can be easily controlled and manipulated and sold a bunch of stuff by society and advertising and retailers that are constantly programming us to believe you're not enough. 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 Oh, maybe I'm not enough. But yeah. But if you just wear this underwear, buy this pen, drive this car, you're going to be lovable. Then yeah, $99, and we're constantly being sold. And so I think we have to be, and so we have to be willing, right, to and also from the moment we're born, we pain, trauma, hurt, we've developed all of these mechanisms to avoid the pain, to not feel, to function, and to ultimately to survive. And so many of us, unbeknownst to us, consciously, we carry pain and hurt and trauma and unresolved emotions that is sort of blocking the clarity of our knowing. It's like the static that blocks our ability to tune in and hear what's actually there. Like what's actually there is always there. It's just that there's a whole bunch of junk and stuff that is clouding the connection to listening to the truth. And I think sometimes we are also, as human beings, afraid of becoming still and listening to the truth, because deep down we're afraid, oh, if I actually listen to the truth of my being, if I actually listen to the truth and be still, I might actually hear it. And if I hear it, maybe what I hear is not what I want to hear. Like I might actually hear like, leave your job. I might actually hear like, this relationship's not right for me. And so sometimes we keep ourselves intentionally busy and busy and busy running around so that we don't have to listen to ourselves. And so I think people, if you are willing to just start by becoming still, creating spaces in your day so that you can start listening, you will begin to hear and sense and feel the whispers of your intuition, of your knowing. And those whispers won't always be loud, but those whispers and the guidance is there underneath the mind, the surface of the mind, underneath the noise, if you're just willing to listen. So, yeah, create spaces, create stillness, listen, and be willing to follow the guidance.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do avoid cutting through the noise. They keep the volume turned up on all these distractions and all this buzzing because they're scared of what that intuition's actually going to tell them. And maybe it's going to tell them, you got to go for this dream. And if they go for that dream, well, then what if they don't make it? Then maybe they might fail. And then that comes into the equation. What if I'm not good enough to achieve this thing that's in my heart that I've been thinking about doing for years and years? You mentioned creating stillness, creating space to get more connected with this voice, this
Yeah.
divine voice, this intuition, tactically on a day-to-day basis with all of us living busy lives. How do we do that? How do we create this
It's
stillness?
simple. It's simple. It's really not complicated. I think life in so many ways is really simple. We just complicate shit. Ego complicates things unnecessarily because it gives us something to do. The ego doesn't want to change. And so we create drama and stress and, more activities, and we complicate stuff because that kind of reinforces our ego, gives us like, oh, I'm alive, I'm here, I exist.
Right.
I think if you just start by committing to create spaces in your day where you can just be still and sit and listen. And maybe that's 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, 50 minutes a day, where you're not doing anything and you're just sitting and listening, tuning into your body, listening to the sensations in your body, feeling your feelings, journaling, removing the distractions, observing life, right? I think then just that act of creating a block of time, as simple as it sounds, that we don't do it, where for 20 minutes you're not doing anything, you're just going to sit there and you're just going to feel and you're just going to listen. That I think will change in so many ways. It will change your life.
Doesn't that just sound uncomfortable though for a lot of people right now listening? I'm sure just the idea of sitting with their thoughts and their emotions with no TV on, no smartphone in their hand. I would
It's
assume that creates a lot of discomfort for people listening to that.
it creates discomfort for a few reasons. Okay, we can go a bit deeper if you want, but it creates discomfort because ego ego, which is who and what we mistakenly and mistakenly believe ourselves to be, right? Ego is the structure based on name, body, form, memories, identity, belief systems that we identify as me. So ego is really the process of identification. This is who I am, boom, and we hold tightly to this is me. I'm this way. I'm that way. I believe this. I don't believe that. That identification is the process of what ego is, and so the job of the ego is to protect you from getting hurt. And the job of the ego, and this is why it was formed, the job of the ego is to reinforce its existence. And one of the ways the ego is reinforced is through activity. If I run around and I busy myself and I do stuff and I'm always then I feel like I exist. And so one of the reasons why you could say stillness, also one of the reasons why meditation, but stillness and being still is and non-doing is so scary for us is because for the ego it's terrifying because oh shit, if I'm not doing stuff then maybe I won't exist anymore. And so how we kind of like feel ourselves alive is constantly doing and doing more and doing more and doing more and being the constant doer, because that gives us a sense of feeling alive, right? And so I think we have to be uh, aware of that and conscious of that and intentional, with that. But ultimately I would say yes, it is scary, it can feel scary, but I think it's only when we're willing to be still that we can be present. Only when we're willing to be still that we can be conscious and aware. And it's only when we're conscious and aware and we start paying attention. Otherwise, we are just, most of us, we are simply operating on automatic. We're just on automatic pilot, doing what we always do over and over again, run by our pain, run by our programming, run by our conditioning, run by our parents, run by our story, run by our childhood wounds. And we're just operating in survival mode, just going, and doing what we always do. You do what you always do, you're going to get what you've always gotten, and nothing will change, and you're just going to go around in circles over and over and over again. And that's why I think it can feel scary to be still. But nothing changes unless you be still, and nothing changes unless you're willing to. One of the things I would say that keeps us stuck are all the ways that we lie to ourselves. As humans, we're constantly lying to ourselves about who we are, about what we feel, about what's true, right? It's one of the ego strategies to keep us the same. We lie to ourselves, I'm fine. This is, we stay in relationships that we hate. We work jobs that we hate. It keeps us in a certain comfort zone. And it's only when we're truly still and we're willing to listen that we can start hearing the truth of what we really feel, the truth of what's there. And there is no transformation without real truth. So you want to talk about tactically or practically, I would say to ask yourself, okay, what lies am I telling myself? Just sit with what lies am I telling myself? But if I keep running so fast, I don't have to actually listen and feel that. What lies am I telling myself? We can feel it if we're honest. We can feel it if we become still. What am I lying to myself about? Number two, what am I pretending to not know? Because the ego plays games of pretend and confusion. Like, I'm not sure, I'm confused, I don't know what my purpose is. Deep down, we know. We have a sense. But sometimes it's easier to stay confused, because if I'm confused about this relationship, then I don't have to act. I don't have to make a decision. If I'm confused about what my purpose is, then I don't have to act and risk the potential failure in the pursuit of my dream. And I can always have the dream as a future hope, a future fantasy. And so I think we have to be willing to tell ourselves the truth. So what lies am I telling myself? What am I pretending to not know? And to be willing to feel, to actually feel the pain of lying to yourself, to feel it, because it is painful. It's meant to feel painful. And so some people might say, well, I don't know if I'm lying to myself. How do I know if I'm really lying to myself? Well, there's a few ways. Number one, you might feel emotionally heavy, emotionally depressed, emotionally lethargic, like, I don't feel sense of aliveness emotionally. Number two, you might feel physically exhausted and tired because it takes so much energy not listening to the truth of your own heart. Number three, uh, it might manifest as a physical symptom or a physical ailment, a backache, a shoulder ache. It's kind of like your suppressed truth through your subconscious speaks to you through your body, because your body is communicating to you. Maybe even an ongoing dis-ease where your body is also communicating some deeper truth that you're not acknowledging consciously. And so it's when we become still that we can begin to sense and feel more deeply. Also, I think when we're not telling ourselves and acknowledging the truth, life stops flowing, because we're suppressing the energy, we're suppressing our truth, we're suppressing life. That creates a stagnation on an energy level. And so our energy doesn't circulate and flow. So life also doesn't flow. The other thing is, you might start attracting people in your life that reflect to you your unacknowledged truth. So why do I keep attracting people that are resentful and miserable and jaded and mad or whatever it is? But really, it's you that's feeling that, and because you're not truly acknowledging it, you're drawing in that energy to show you. Oh, take a look at something you're not acknowledging or owning. And so I think creating spaces to be still so that we can listen and ask ourselves the questions, so that we can get in touch with our truth. Because when we're not living our truth, we're living a lie. And when we're living a lie, and some of it's not even intentional, it's just survival, it's just ways we've learned to survive. Uh, yeah, you can create a life, but usually it won't be a magnificent life. It won't be a life that feels truly alive. It will be a life that is rooted in survival rather than true aliveness or thriving. But it's only when I think we're willing to create space, stillness, that we can reflect, that we can feel, that we can actually start to acknowledge the truth. And ultimately, it's the truth that sets us free.
I think that could be a really powerful practice for anyone to try over the course of a month is just sit down in a chair, set a timer for 20 minutes,
Yep.
close your eyes and ask yourself those questions. How am I lying to myself right now? Or what am I pretending not to know? And just sit there with those questions and pay attention to what comes up. And I bet anyone that would do that over a month or so would really get a lot out of that practice.
For sure. For sure.
That they really would. So
Yeah, truth for me is real yoga. Truth is real prayer. Truth is real spiritual practice. Truth is real meditation. Truth is real therapy. In many ways, life is simple. It's not complicated. Feel the truth, acknowledge the truth, speak the truth, tell the truth, live the truth. Happy life. All the complications come because of all the ways we duck and dive and no, I'm fine when you're not fine. No, I'm happy when I'm not happy. No, I love my job when I hate my job. I'm in love with this person when I'm not in love with this person. But if we just started by acknowledging the truth, I hate my job. Here's the thing, you don't have to leave, but just acknowledge the truth. All the energy it takes to suppress the truth is killing us. You know what? I'm not in love with this person. You don't have to break up, but just feel the truth and see what that brings up. And so I would say to people, take the pressure off of yourself of having to even take any action and just acknowledge the truth. That begins a process within you where you can start allowing yourself, giving yourself the permission to feel what is real, to feel what is true. Then you can maybe stand the possibility of creating a life built on a foundation that is true, a foundation that is real.
Right. And there'll never be an impetus to change if you're telling lies to yourself all day long. But if you're actually telling yourself the truth, acknowledging the truth, and leaning into it, then there'll actually be some real inspiration there to take some action. But I think that's what people are scared of. And that's why they avoid the truth. Because they realize this truth is going to actually mean I'm going to have to take some action and change
Afraid of
things.
the consequences.
Right.
That's what I say. Take the pressure off of having to even take action. Just start by acknowledging the truth and just feel that in your body. Feel that will begin a natural process inside. It will start a burning inside. It will start a fire inside that eventually will start moving you in a direction.
So you mentioned that the routine, the habit of sitting with these questions, sitting with your feelings, sitting with your thoughts, which I think is a tremendous habit that everyone should take on. Are there any habits or rituals that you stick to on a regular basis that help you stay connected to your purpose?
I mean, there's many. I would say just starting with the basics. I mean, people want to complicate things, but again, I like keeping things simple. I mean, if you ask me what do, I exercise every day. It's non-negotiable. I mean, it's not some esoteric thing. It's just start by exercising every day. Just even that alone, basic level, will change your life.
It will.
One, it will change your biochemistry, but number two, when you say you're going to do something and you do it, you start developing an internal self trust. That internal self trust is an inner integrity. That inner integrity is the energy of alignment and the energy of power, the energy of strength. Because now you did something, you said something, you did something, you come into deeper coherence and alignment. You start believing yourself. Now you have more power so that when you say, I'm going to manifest this thing, I'm going to create this thing, you actually believe yourself and you're in alignment. And so, some simple things I've done. I exercise every day. I take time to meditate at some point in the day. Simple. I mean, I could give people the
I
basic.
love it. Is your meditation similar to the one we spoke about before, or is it more of a concentrating on your breath type meditation?
It's a whole different meditation, but that will take days to go into.
Got
More
it.
like it's a meditation podcast.
I hear you though. And listen, I think, kind of like you said, we don't need to complicate things too much. It doesn't have to be sitting in front of a red light therapy device for an hour. It doesn't have to be doing the cold plunge. Start with exercising every day. Get your body moving, get that heart pumping, get
Right?
those happy chemicals percolating in the brain,
Start,
and that'll
start,
change everything.
start with exercise. Start with the truth. The truth will transform your life. That's the bottom line.
I've heard you talk about the power of surrender. And I think surrender is a word that some people have negative feelings and negative connotations about. Curious, what is your personal definition of surrender, and how do we lean into this concept to find our highest self?
I would say that there's so many misconceptions of surrender today. Um, the idea that surrender is weak, that surrender is passive, that surrender is giving up, that surrender is waving the white flag, that if you surrender, you're going to be a doormat, you're going to be taken advantage of, that if you surrender, you won't manifest your goals, dreams, and desires, that if you surrender, you're going to get less in life. But I'm actually saying if you really understand the true essence, the true meaning of surrender, what if you didn't get like less? But what if you actually got more? Maybe not what you expected, maybe not what you planned, but what if it was better than you could have planned? What if it was beyond what you could have imagined? What if it was more than anything you could have written in a journal or on your goal list or your strategy journal? What if it was better? If you look at the best things in your life that have happened, the most magnificent things, most of it you did not plan. Most of it happened in the process of just living life. To me, that's really part of what surrender is. And so I really believe that from my lived experience and from what I've seen in my life every single day, I think that surrender is the most powerful thing that we can do. I think surrender is the real secret to manifestation. I think that surrender is the password to freedom. If you look at the truly great ones, Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Mandela, Martin Luther King, Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, great in their own way, at some point they all reached a point in their lives where they had to surrender themselves. At some point they got to that moment where they had to surrender and let go of who they thought they were going to be, the life that they thought they were going to live, right? The plans that they had made for their lives. Gandhi was a lawyer, a successful lawyer who was very, wealthy and did well, but life had a different calling for him. He could have held on to the life he thought he was meant to live, but we wouldn't have Gandhi today. And so Gandhi became Mahatma Gandhi, which is a great soul. Maha means, great soul. Mahatma is great soul, and he would not have evolved into that had he not surrendered to the bigger plan, the bigger unfolding of life. And so I think all of these great folks, they surrendered themselves to life, the universe, the God, the divine, whatever people might believe, something bigger than themselves, this intelligence that is life. In that surrender, they transcended their human little ego's limitations. And in that surrender, they tapped into another dimension of life, and life was able to use them. Life was able to express through them. Life was able to use them in ways that I think they could not have planned for themselves. You look at a Mandela, you can't plan that life. I'm going to sit down, write in my journal. Yeah, I'll go to prison, spend 27 years in prison. Like that's beyond your plan. That's beyond the mind. So when you surrender, you tap into the infinite possibilities of life, and life starts using you. Life starts expressing through you. Life starts creating through you. And I think that's when the magic happens. We all want the magic, right? I mean, who doesn't want more freaking magic in life? We all want more magic, but most of us aren't willing to surrender. That's the thing. And the degree of magic you experience, the miraculous, the possibilities, the abundance, the degree of magic you experience in your life is directly in proportion to, I would say, the degree to which you surrender. And that's really the key. And so surrender, just to clarify, it's a letting go of control. It's a letting go of the illusion that we're in control. It's a letting go of who you thought you should be, the life you thought you should be living. It's a letting go of the limitations you're putting on life. And it's a willingness to be open, a willingness to be available to allowing life to show you, allowing life to guide you, allowing life to lead you. And I think the ego based model or the ego based paradigm for living life is all about, what do I want? Get clear on your intention and go make it happen, go crush it, which is cool. It's great. You can live a good life, but not a great life. It will be limited, because a life that you live and create from the ego is limited to the past. A life that you live and create from the ego will always be a limited life. So when you simply ask, what do I want? The limited I, you stay inside of a realm of limitation, and you might get what you thought you wanted, only to realize that what you thought you wanted was just what you thought you wanted based on who you thought you were. It's not what you really wanted. So for me, the different question, the bigger question to ask when it comes to surrender is, what is it that life is seeking to express through me? What is it that the universe is seeking to manifest through me? What is God seeking to create through me? What is my soul? What is the deepest impulse of what my soul is seeking to express? And I think when you can ask the bigger question, you can open yourself to a bigger capacity of receptivity. You can expand your perception to become more available to the infinite, available to life. And that's when life uses you. That's when God uses you. That's when the magic happens. The miracles happen in ways that you could never have planned. Like, I could not have planned this with my mind. I could not have imagined this was possible. That's the real magic.
What question do you personally ask yourself internally on a regular basis most often?
I think at this stage of my life, the question I ask myself is, um, how can I be used for the highest good of humanity? And I just ask for life, God, to use me. Like, I want to be used for the highest good, for the highest impact for humanity. So it's a request to be used by life.
I love that. That's a powerful question. I like that one a lot.
Because when you're focused on that question, it's like, okay, use me. You're not focused on yourself. You're focused on being available, and you're focused on being of service. And I think one of the reasons why we suffer as human beings is we're simply focused on ourselves. My need, my emotion, how
For
do I
sure.
feel my life, me, my, which is cool. I'm not saying that's not important, but when you're just focused on yourself, eventually you will suffer. You'll feel suffering, my feeling, my pain, my depression, my emotion. But a life that is lived to self will always be end up a suffering life. But I think when you expand yourself and say, okay, how can I be of service? How can I be used? You're focusing on being of service to more than yourself. So that first stage of life is when you're just living in survival. The next stage is when you're just thinking of just meeting your needs and just having your own fun and freedom. The next stage is when you're seeking to be a contribution to those around you. The next stage is when you're seeking to be a contribution to those just beyond your immediate surroundings. And the next stage is when you're seeking to be a contribution to the world, to humanity. And that's an evolutionary process. And so I think true fulfillment comes when you dedicate your life to being of service to a vision, a mission, a calling that is bigger than just yourself. Then, yeah, even though you might be limited and even though you might have your issues and your flaws, your focus isn't on that. Your focus is on way more than that. Your focus is on humanity. Your focus is on those you're serving. Your focus, because you're focused on more than yourself, you tend to not be just limited and fixated on your own fears as much. And that bigger vision is what can pull you through to the other side.
Do you have for yourself a crystal clear, let's call it mission statement that you lean on in those tough times, in those indecisive moments?
No.
You just know that you're here to serve humanity in whatever fashion the universe sees fit.
What else is there? Otherwise, many times people make mission statements based on what they think their mission should be, what they think their purpose should be, and you make up. I'm not saying mission statement is not a helpful guide, right? But many times you can make a mission statement based on ego rather than soul. And so I think for me, asking the question of I want to be of maximum service to humanity. I want to be used by God. I want to be used by life and use me in the highest way possible. See, when you invoke like the highest good, use me in the highest way possible. I ask for the highest good to be done. Then you are transcending your ego and transcending your mind. You're invoking the highest good. So when you invoke the highest good in a situation, in a relationship, in an experience, you're not putting any limitations on life, any limitations on what you think should be. You are available to the highest good. So you can rest assured that what happens in any given moment, whether you think it that way or not, is going to be the highest good. Many times we get caught up in, oh, this is what I should be doing. This is what it is. This is what it is. Yeah, but we're not seeing the whole picture, right? We're not seeing the entire unfolding of life. But when we live life with an open heart, available and open and receptive, then I think we are available to life. And when you're available to life, life will give you more. When you're available to life and being of service, however life needs, life will use you in ways you can't imagine by your willingness to respond to the moment. So I'm not saying don't have a mission statement, just don't get attached to your mission statement. Because sometimes the mission is loving your neighbor in front of you. Sometimes the mission is being present with your wife and your child. Many times we get caught up with, oh, this mission, this mission. I mean, it's great to have a big mission, uh, but we miss what is right in front of us. I remember going to India, coming back from India, before I first started my coaching career. And I went to India, had such a transformational experience. And I'm like, what's my mission? I got to come up with a mission statement. I got to know what my mission is. Put it in, like, what is it? I will save the world, change the world. And every day I would sit in the park, Pan Pacific Park in Los Angeles, California. And I would sit in the park every day for months. Like, what is my mission? God, tell me my mission. I want some statement. I want an idea. And one day I heard this voice that said, Kute, you're full of shit. And I was like, it's not the voice I was expecting to hear. And this voice said, look across the street. And I saw this old woman every day. She must have been 75, 80 years old. Every day I saw her, and she would struggle with her groceries. She'd go to the grocery store, come every day is a routine, struggling with the grocery stores to push her cart. And this voice said, "You're sitting here asking God for some grand mission and vision. And you say you want to serve people, you want to serve humanity, you want to serve the world. And every day there is an elderly woman in front of you, and you won't get your ass off of the bench and help her." That's when I had to humble myself and jump off the bench and say, wow, the universe is giving me an opportunity to be of service in this moment to one person. And I just started every day to serve this one woman. We couldn't speak the same language. She was Russian, but she taught me some Russian. And every day for about 3 months, I would meet her every morning, and I would help her with the groceries. And we developed this rapport and this relationship. And I just served her as a manifestation of God. I just decided I was going to serve her as an expression of the divine. I was going to serve her because if Buddha or Jesus or, some great being was, I would serve them. So why would I not serve her? And every day I just decided I was gonna serve her. And what that taught me was we have to be willing to respond to the need in the moment. And if you don't respond to the need in the moment, and if you're not willing to serve one, life will not give you two. If you can't serve two with sincerity, life will not give you four. If you can't serve four, life will not give you 40. If you can't serve 40, life will not give you 400 or 4,000, and on and on and on and on. And so that really taught me something, you know, that that I actually also learned in India, but when I forgot. See, when I went to India, I sat with an old mentor of mine who's since passed away, a man called Dwarkaji. And I went to sit with him because I was asking myself the question, what's my purpose? What's my mission? Well, and he was a mission driven man that was 50 years serving the underprivileged kids of India. And I figured I could go and be of service there. And I had these romantic ideas, and after he basically built orphanages, thousands of kids, 300 orphanages, takes them in, bathes them, cleans them, educates them, finds kids in the trash, basically, that are thrown away by society, and takes them under his wing. And after 2 weeks of being with him in the orphanage and basically being of service to the kids, I was exhausted. I was tired. I'm like, this shit is hard work. Can't do this. It's not this romantic idea I have of like Mother Teresa in a movie.
Right.
And I told him, and his ashram, his orphanage was in a city called Bodh Gaya. Bodh Gaya is where the Buddha got enlightened. So there's the Mahabodhi temple where the Buddha got enlightened, and the Bodhi tree. And I told my friend Dwarkaji, I said, Dwarkaji, I'm a bit tired after 2 weeks. I'm going to go take a few days off, and I'm going to go to the temple. And I'm going to sit, by the Bodhi tree and the Buddha statue. I'm just going to meditate, collect my thoughts for a few weeks, and come back. And this wise man taught me something that led into my experience with this woman. And he said, it's beautiful that you go and meditate. It's beautiful that you go and pray in the Bodhi, by the Bodhi tree, in the Mahabodhi temple where the Buddha statue exists. But just make sure that while you're meditating, your heart doesn't turn to stone. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, because right here in this very simple ashram, in these very simple orphanages, are 300 living Buddhas, 300 living Christs, just waiting for you to love them, waiting for you to serve them, waiting for you to worship them. And he said, if you look into their eyes, you will see who's really there. And that moment changed my life. That moment with this on the bench there changed my life. And I realized that for me, the mission is to be of service however I can to life, to God, to the universe, in whatever way I can, in any given moment. And I think that's really what we can do. And sometimes that service is me just changing my son's diapers with love, like that's no less important than speaking in front of 1,000 people. Sometimes that Service is just spending the evening with my wife, and I don't want to watch the damn movie she wants to watch, but she needs that, and being of service in that way, that's no less important than transforming 30 people, 20 people in Bali in one of my events. And so we can all find ways to be of service and live our mission. It may not always look how we think, but if we're available, we can be used if we're paying attention.
I totally agree. There's so many micro opportunities all around us to serve humanity and to make a difference. It's not always going to be on a stage speaking in front of 1,000 people. Sometimes it's just going to be listening to your wife as she talks to you and giving her your full attention at night. Sometimes it's going to be offering genuine words of encouragement to a friend who's feeling a little indecisive about their new business venture. There's so many opportunities for us to serve humanity, and we need to lean into every one of those and not just say we're going to save the world one day, but instead serve the people that are right in front of you today, right now, in this moment.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about manifestation real quick before we wrap up. We've heard the word manifest. We've spoken it a couple times today. So let's say we've sat in the chair. We know our truth. We know what we're here to do, and we're ready to take action. How do we manifest that ideal future? Do we visualize it? Do we do affirmations? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Wow, that's a few podcast episodes. Let me try to condense it in a way that people can use. You hear so much talk about manifestation, 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 manifestation. Should I do this? Should I do that? Do this? Da, 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 da. I mean, on one level, all the techniques are out there. But why is it that we still don't manifest? See, manifestation is not a process of what you can get out here in the world. Manifestation is not even about manifesting. Manifestation is a spiritual, transformational, evolutionary game that you get to play with yourself and the universe. Manifestation is really the process of your own evolution and seeing yourself reflected back to you in the experiences and the people and the situations of your life. Your life, your circumstance, your bank account, your relationships is really a mirror manifestation of your consciousness. There is no world out here. The world out here is a reflection of your most deeply held beliefs about yourself. The world out here is really a reflection of your subconscious. The world out here is really a reflection of yourself. So you are in relationship every day with yourself projected out here in the world. And so when you see what you're attracting and when you see what you are manifesting in quotation marks, I think the question is, do you like what you see? And most of us, and where most of us are making the mistake, is we are simply trying to manifest out here by changing stuff in the world. I want to change my car, change my hairstyle, change my this, change my bank account. But we don't realize that all of that is really a reflection of some aspect of your own consciousness. So the real shift happens when you realize that it's not simply about changing what's out here and manifesting something different out here, because out here is the effect. The world is the symptom. The world is the effect of what's in here. And so if you really want to change what's out here and manifest differently, you have to change what's inside of you. That is the real inner game of manifestation. When you shift and you change what's inside, your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your words, and you do the inner work of healing, your pain, your trauma, your conditioning, your childhood, not only do you clear yourself from the energetic vibrations that keep you stuck, then you raise your vibration, you raise your energy, you move to a different frequency, and then that starts projecting into the world. And as a result, you start to attract different situations, different experiences, different circumstances as a mirror reflection of your own being. What you're really manifesting is the highest version of you as a way of being. And when you manifest the highest version of you through your own inner healing, doing the inner work, doing the inner healing, doing the work, transforming yourself from the inside, then life will reflect that back to you in the situations and the people. So it's not about, let me manifest a car, let me manifest that's so cool to have goals about what you want to manifest. But when you're like, let me manifest the most aligned, authentic, highest version of myself. Let me heal myself. When I heal myself, my energy shifts. When my energy shifts, life will start to reflect that back to me in a profound mirror, in a profound way. And so when you look at your life, do you like what you see? No. Don't fight the mirror. Don't blame the mirror. Don't blame God. Change yourself. You're not cursed. It's not simply your karma. It's what's going on in here, and you can change that. And as you change that, you will change what manifests in your life. And I think that's the real inner foundation of true manifestation. Most people are trying to manifest something differently by simply changing the external world. But if you don't change yourself and the beliefs and the thought patterns inside, then you'll keep recreating the same situations. Okay, you'll leave your wife, or you'll leave your husband, or you leave your boyfriend, and you'll be like, okay, I'm done with that person. I want to manifest a new partner. But what you manifest is someone who looks different. John had a mustache, and Paul has a beard. And then you screw Paul. Let me move on to Steve. And Steve now has no hair. And the thing is, they all look different, but you're manifesting the same vibrational frequency, the same energy, the same lessons, and the same patterns. Nothing has changed because you are in relationship with yourself. You want to manifest? You got to change yourself. You got to do the inner healing. You got to do the work. That's the real secret that people don't want to tell you. What they often want to tell you is, yeah, just think positive and feel positive, and you'll have everything you want. Maybe, possibly, maybe, possibly, but the real process of manifestation is as you heal inside, you shift inside, boom, you change everything, and that takes a bit of work. Now, on top of that, if you can, the cherry on top, right, is when you can, yes, okay, let me break down in like 1 minute or less a quick map to manifestation.
Let's do it.
This will help people. uh, this can take me a day to talk about. So once you've done that inner work, you have the foundation. Your vibration is aligned. You're not trying to manifest because you feel empty. I want the Lamborghini because I don't feel enough. I want that bikini body because I don't feel worthy. And that manifestation is what's gonna make me valuable. That becoming famous is gonna make me valuable. You feel whole and complete within yourself. Your vibration shifts. You don't need the thing anymore in order to feel worthy, and you're not seeking to manifest anymore in order to feel worthy. You're feeling the fullness of your own overflow, and as you rest and you feel that, the game of manifestation shifts completely. Now from that place, there might be certain levers you can pull to amplify the energetics and vibration of the frequency that you emit, to become more magnetic, shall we say, to turn up the volume, to become more magnetic to your goals, dreams, and desires. And so here's how manifestation happens on the mechanic level. There's the foundation. Now, what you need is, yes, you need thoughts. Your thoughts, thinking, what you think about, as you think about, your thoughts carry frequencies and vibrations that transmit visual images, visualization that changes your chemistry as well. So you have to think it, visualize it. You have to see the image of what you feel and what you're wanting. Number two, you have to feel it. Don't wait for it to happen. You have to feel it as already done. When you can feel it, so you're no longer separate from the car, the house, the relationship, you're feeling it as already done in your body, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So you're thinking it, yes, I'm thinking it. You're feeling it, yes, I'm feeling it. Then you're speaking it, thoughts plus feelings plus words. Many times we don't realize we are repelling our manifestation. Well, maybe it happens. What if it doesn't happen? I don't know if it happens. Versus like, it's done already. Like, I can't wait till it happens. Like celebrating it while you're in the process. So how you speak about things. In the beginning was the word. The word was with God. God said, "Let there be light." We are creators, and our words carry frequency and vibration. So we have to speak our dreams, goals, authentic dreams, goals, and desires as though already done. Speak it with certainty. That carries an energy that is magnetic. So thoughts, feelings, words. Now we've got to connect that to a purpose. Like, why do you want this thing? Because when you have a strong enough why, you have a personal why. Maybe it's I want to take care of my family. A global why, like I want to make a difference. When those two elements can come together, your thoughts, your feelings, your words, connected to a deeper purpose, that creates an amplified vibration, an amplified energetic effect. But now, that alone is not enough. So we have the foundation of inner healing. On top of this, thoughts, feelings, words, and purpose. That's not enough.
That's not enough.
That's not enough, bro. That's not
That's
enough.
not.
This
That's
is
a lot. That's a lot of stuff,
where
Kurt.
most people, there's a lot of people that, oh, I'm feeling, I'm thinking, I'm, oh man, why don't I manifest? Because the truth is, if everyone that was like feeling, thinking, why does certain people manifest and why do certain people not manifest? Because they understand the codes. There's deeper codes than that. That alone is not enough. That is the inner game. The inner game of manifestation can take you far, can manifest things. However, if you understand the entire map, you understand the codes, it makes things completely different. So that's the inner game. So what do you need now? You got your thoughts, your feeling, your words, your purpose. Vibration is amplified. What you now need is the correct vehicle. Many people, especially spiritual folks, don't have the right vehicle. You might say, I want to get from LA to New York in a tricycle. Yeah, but that could take 17 lifetimes. That could never happen, right? A tricycle, a bicycle, a car, a jumbo jet. Each vehicle is going to make a difference to how you get there. Some of us, we're trying to manifest, but we have the wrong vehicle. If you say, I want to be a billionaire, nothing wrong with that. That's what you feel. Cool. Maybe it's your calling. I want to be a billionaire, but you are a massage therapist charging $80 an hour.
Good luck making that happen.
You, you can say, pray, whatever, it's not happening. The math doesn't add up. You have the wrong vehicle. You understand? So many people don't realize one of the reasons they're not manifesting is they have the wrong damn vehicle. The vehicle is off. So you have to look at, what is the vehicle that I'm using to actually translate the invisible energy of my consciousness into physical form? You might have to change your vehicle. You might be in the wrong profession, the wrong job. You're working in McDonald's and that's your vehicle. You ain't going to be a billionaire, even if you meditate and pray and, who knows what happens, right?
You'd have to pick up a lot of shifts.
It's not happening in this lifetime. And so many people, we have the wrong vehicle. Maybe you're a massage therapist, but you realize, wow, I'm not going to be a billionaire giving $80 massages. Maybe I'll start a franchise, and maybe you franchise it to massage, envy, massage, blah blah blah, com and massage bucks, and you franchise it one in every country and every city, and maybe that makes your vehicle. So there's different ways, but you got to look at the vehicle. But that's not enough. You can have the right vehicle, but the next element of manifestation code is you need the right strategy.
Sure.
Some people have the wrong strategy. In other words, they got the right vehicle. Let's say you got the jet trying to get from LA to New York, but you're going south towards Argentina. You're going the wrong way. And so many times, one of the reasons why things don't manifest is you have the wrong strategy. Strategy is based on the sequence of events, the sequence of unfoldings towards your manifestation. There is a correct sequence also. In order to get from LA to New York, you got to head eastwards, towards the east. You're not going south, but there's a sequence and a route that might be more effective and optimal, right? So I think having the right strategy, the right roadmap is affected by who you hang out with, your peers, your associations that can guide you, people that have maybe gone before, but also having the right coaches, guides, teachers, and mentors that can, because they've been there, right? They can accelerate and compress decades into days. Like, hey, don't turn left, because you turn left, there's a big bridge there that is broken. You're going to fall into it, and that's going to waste 10 years of your life. Don't do that. Okay, turn right, go here, do that, go over that bridge, take the 10 freeway. But just before you get to that, that exit, get off, because the freeway is blocked. A right mentor can help you. That's the right strategy. Lastly, you need to take aligned action to bring your visualizations, feelings, affirmations into reality, you need action. And so the combination of all of that is, and again, I'm condensing it, but it's a complete roadmap to manifestation.
Unbelievable. That was awesome, Coot. I really appreciate you going through that step by step. And I think it makes all the sense in the world, right? Attach your words and your emotions and your thoughts to a purpose. But that's not enough. That then we still have to make the plan. We have to ask mentors, how do we do this? Should we turn left or
Yeah,
right? How do we avoid
you might have a
these
vision.
pitfalls?
You might have a vision to build a company, but you never built a company before.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to be the right vehicle. It's got to be the right type of company. And then you've got to take the
Feeling
action.
it, and you can be meditated, but it's like wow, like even with AI, right? I mean, shit, AI now it's like there's certain jobs that are about to go out of business.
For sure.
So you're like, I want to start a copywriting company.
I don't know about that.
I'm not sure. There's not some, but that may not be the business to go into at this
Right.
point, right?
Right.
And
Cool.
so the right vehicle, the right strategy, the right action.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Coot. This was a lot of fun, man. Where can everyone keep up with what you got going on these days?
Yeah, a couple of things. Get the book, The
Get the
Magic.
book.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff is there. But I would say, you got me talking about manifestation, which is fun. I actually am just releasing, depending on people listen to this, just releasing in a couple of days a new course on manifestation, and I'm offering releasing a free masterclass where I'm kind of dissecting some of these things and ideas into 45 minutes to an hour of full value for folks. So if you're ready to manifest your goals, dreams, and desires, but manifest in harmony and alignment and learn the codes, then you can go to manifestationmasterclass.com, sign up for the masterclass and dive in and enjoy the content there. The beginning of the year, I launched also another, um, shall we say, yeah, an online course. It has 8 modules, 8 videos that will definitely support your ability to manifest. I think one of the key factors around manifestation is cultivating gratitude. Gratitude is key. And so I launched a course called the 8 levels of gratitude. Number 8. So www.8levelsofgratitude.com, 8levelsofgratitude.com. People can just enter your name and your email. The course is free. I'm gifting it to the world. Thousands of people have taken the course since January and lives are changing. So get your life changed and let me know how you enjoy it. 8levelsofgratitude.com. I think gratitude is one of the most powerful, accelerated ways to supercharge your intentions, goals, dreams, and desires. Instagram, folks, connect with me on Instagram. My name, Kute Blackson, Kute, Kute Blackson. KuteBlackson.com is my main website. I'm doing lots of events in the second half of the year. Would love to connect, would love to see you and connect more.
Coot, thank you so much. And Persistence Playbook Nation, thank you for being here this week. And this is your weekly reminder that you will feel resistance towards the important work in your life this week. Don't run from it. Acknowledge that resistance, lean into your why, and take action anyway. We'll see you on the next one.